Hi guys, this is Josh from Watch All About with another watch review. It feels like it's been ages since I've reviewed a watch, and in actual fact it is. It has been ages. It must be middle of December when I reviewed the Accio, which was a Seiko the Willard homage, but since then I've been working really hard on rebuilding the website, so check it out, watchitallabout.com. And drop me a comment to see if you like the look of it, if there's anything else you'd like to see, because I'm a developer, I'm a website developer, so I've coded that all up myself. So if you want a special feature, and I think it's a good idea, let me know, and I'll put that down to develop it on my site. So I've also just had a little bit of time just sorting out my backdrop as well. So I don't know if you can see my two pictures. I've drawn them, that's my own illustration. They're available for sale if you want to buy one. They're really, really cheap as well. They're less than a tenner each. So I would recommend you do. They're 6x6, quite cute little watch hands pieces of art. But yeah, definitely check it out. Anyway, let's get on with the review in question. My first proper review of 2021. And it's pretty exciting for me because it's the very first Tourbillon I've ever reviewed. Now, Brad Holmes did a full written review of this watch, and I'm just following it up with a video review, just because video reviews and written reviews, you know, they're just different media, and video is always pretty nice to have a look at a watch in the real flesh, ticking away in an actual video rather than a picture. It just gives a different dimension, doesn't it? So here we are. So this is the Waldhoff, Manufaktur Waldhoff Imperial Diamond Silver. So let's check it out. So Manufaktur Waldhoff started in 2015, and their aim was, I quote, to create extraordinary mechanical timepieces entirely assembled and calibrated by hand in-house in our own workshop in Germany. Now there has been a little bit of question marks because the watches say made in Germany because they are hand assembled in their workshop in Germany. However, they don't have German movements. They usually have Chinese movements. Good movements, however. I reviewed a watch with a really decent 80-hour power reserve. Obviously this is a tourbillon. It's not a Swiss tourbillon because that would be over £10,000. This is also a Chinese movement, Chinese tourbillon. So some people are like, oh, why is it saying made in Germany when it's got a Chinese movement? The regulations for made in Germany are different to Swiss made. With a Swiss made watch, you do need to have a Swiss movement. However, made in Germany, the regulations don't specify that. So hence why they can get away with it. So there we go. It's just one of those things. So what is the price of this watch then? Well, the very cheapest tourbillons, I've had a look. You can get tourbillons for around £500 at the moment. I haven't checked one out, or I haven't checked any reviews, so the quality of that could be quite dubious, if we're being completely honest. After all, the tourbillon movement is still very, very complex, highly sought after, and it is just a beautiful movement. As soon as you start going into Swiss-made tourbillons, you are looking at about £10,000 upwards. There's no way around that. This watch, the Manufaktur Waldhoff Imperial Diamond Silver, this comes in at $2,230, which equates to about £1,600. So it's about 3 times more than the cheapest tourbillons. However, it is most definitely 3 times the watch than those cheaper watches. So without further ado, let's stop waffling and check out the watch itself. So there's 2 or 3 key components to this watch that I really, really want to stress. First of all is the movement, tourbillon movement, wonderful. Secondly is the incredible case made of sapphire crystal. Yes, you heard it right. It has a CNC milled outer skeleton, and this main block of the actual case itself is a sapphire crystal. This is proper haute horology stuff on a watch costing about £1.5 grand, which is really, really impressive. And thirdly, just the design of it, the looks. The dial is absolutely mesmerising, and the general build quality as well is spot on. So let's have a look, first things first, at the tourbillon, the heart of the watch, the movement. The movement that has been selected is the Hangzhou 3452 movement, which is a Chinese-made movement. Some specs of that movement, 29 joules. It has twin barrels, interestingly, so it has a 72-hour power reserve, which is good. It's a hand wind only movement. It's not automatic. So it's good that you get that extra power reserve, because obviously you can wind it, fully wind it, and then you can forget about it for more than just 1 or 2 days. You know, you've got a good few days in the bank there. High beat rate, 28.8 thousand beats per hour, so that's good. You'll be able to see with the tourbillon as it rotates around the cage. Very, very nice high beat. As I mentioned, it's a hand wind only movement. It doesn't have a seconds hand, and it's not hacking. So basically the tourbillon will continue rotating even if you pull out the crown. So if you're a real stickler for perfectly setting a watch to the exact second, then you won't be able to do that with this, but there we go. That's just one of those things. As you actually closely inspect the movement itself, it's absolutely delightful. I'm not gonna lie. Tourbillons are just absolutely beautiful, beautiful movements, and I love the way this is ever so slightly skeletonized as well. You can see straight through the tourbillon cage, so you can really have a look at it in all sorts of different angles. And because of that skeletonization, you know, you get light shining through it as well, so you do get a very, very good view of everything. They've applied quite an interesting fleur-de-lis almost style top to it, which really makes it a bit more extravagant, a little bit more interesting as well, rather than just a plain old top plate and plain old bottom plate. So they've really done some good work in making it a little bit more interesting to the eye, and it certainly does do that as well. The only thing is that it does make the legibility a little bit worse, because you have all this intricate detail on the dial, and also skeletonized hands, well, part skeletonized hands are skeletonized at the base. Pretty decent loom on them, however. But if you were to just glance at the watch, then if you don't have good eyesight, I mean, it doesn't bother me because I do have fairly good eyesight. These hour markers too, I really like the way they look like they're almost floating, but if you look at them up close, they're really thick, decent quality as well. Really, as soon as you start looking at it up close, it really does signify very, very good high manufacturing quality, which of course you would expect on a watch costing £1,600, but there we go. One really key feature that I always find makes a difference with a watch is a very good anti-reflective coating as well. Thankfully this watch has it, because it would be such a shame if you had a beautiful tourbillon movement and really intricate details on the dial, but you had a really reflective crystal and really difficult to see those details. However, it's beautifully flat. It has a sensational coating of anti-reflective coating as well. So moving on to the case then. So as you can see, we have this really interesting top section of the case. That's screwed onto this bottom section of the case by 4 screws on the underside. And if you look at it up close, you'll see we also have a steel cylinder on the inside. That's obviously the movement holder. Really stunning, really interesting to look at. And for me, it's like nothing I've ever seen on a watch costing this much money. You know, this is the kind of thing that costs lots and lots and lots. So to see it on a watch costing this much is really, really impressive. On the other side, we have the crown. Nothing exciting particularly about the crown. It's push-pull, so it hasn't got a screw-in thread, obviously, because it's going straight into a sapphire crystal. But it has the Manufaktur logo, Manufaktur Waldhoff logo, nice and deeply embossed on the end there. So just finishing off with the case, a nice array of finishing, brush tops, polished sides as well, which is pretty sweet. And then on the back is all movement. It has a very, very slender amount of steel around the outside, but the whole case back is pretty much devoted to that wonderful, wonderful movement. A few little bits of information engraved around the outside, and that's also brushed. So nice array of finishes. It's probably worth at this point just having a quick spec check just to discuss the specs. It is fairly large, 43mm in diameter. Now, if you look at the actual movement itself, the majority of it is the movement. So I have about a 7-inch wrist for reference. 43mm, it does demand a lot of attention, but it does also look absolutely fantastic on. 13mm height too, so it does have a fair bit of height to it. And a 49.5mm lug-to-lug length as well. So it is a fairly large watch. I'm not going to deny it. However, it is pretty easy to wear. 92 grams weight, so doesn't feel big and bulky on the wrist. Moving on to the strap then, 22mm wide at the lugs. Nice and chunky buckle, and as you can see we have a bit of a two-way interesting deployant style buckle. So the first section just pushes down, so that's single lock in, and then the second section you push in either side of the top bar just to seal that. And the top bar itself has the Manufaktur Waldhoff logo, nice and deeply and accurately engraved as well. It is polished, so that will most likely scratch quite significantly very, very quickly, but that's just one of those things. The leather itself, nice and thick, pretty supple, very comfortable on as well, which is good. You would expect that with an expensive watch. It's nice to see that it has quick release pins too, in case you do want to replace the strap. So yeah, no grumbles at all about the strap. It's just pretty average strap for the watch in question. I think the all black suits it quite nicely as well. It offsets the silver in this instance very, very nicely. So without further ado, let's just crack on the macro lens, and we'll have a look at it in much closer detail, because we certainly want to do that with a beautiful movement like this tourbillon. First things first then, let's check out this tourbillon spinning around. Look at that cheeky little cage. Look at him go. Absolutely beautiful, close attention to detail there. As we start moving around the dial, you see this interesting kind of fleur-de-lis floral pattern that's been applied on it. Great depth to that. Really nice close attention to detail in terms of build quality too. As we look at the hands, you'll notice they're polished. If I just have a little flash of light there, pitched ever so slightly too. Nice little loom filled tips too. And you'll notice also our rehaut with some print work on it, frames the dial nicely, and our deep hour markers as well, all providing such great depth, tremendous depth to the dial. Really keeps things really, really interesting. Let's just have another glance at that cage just spinning around. Look at him go. Lovely stuff. Moving on to the case then. So here's our top section, brush top as you can see, and then polished around the outside as well. And as we just come over, see polished on the sides, excuse my fingerprints, and then we have this bottom plate. You can see it starts there with a little screw on the bottom of each lug just to hold it in place. So that goes all the way across. Moving on to the case back, we then have it brushed on the bottom with some various bits of information. And that clamps in place this incredible sapphire case. You can see there. Just moving on to the other side, we've got our crown, which is just push-pull with the logo. Just rotate that, spin it around. So nothing too exciting about the crown really, but it's usable. And if we just flip it over, continue to look at the movement now in the case back. So we can see there this see-through section of the back of the cage. See our twin barrels, one's there, also one's there as well. That houses the 72-hour power reserve, which is again is very impressive. And just some more floral decorations to it as well, which really does make things really, really interesting. Finally moving on to the strap then. So pretty standard stuff really. It's nice for the price. Black stitching as well as the black strap itself. I'm glad it's a matte and not a patent. And then if I just close the buckle, you'll see we have our Manufaktur Waldhoff logo nice and deeply engraved on the end. Push both of these two buttons to open it up. As I open it up, you'll notice that's the sort of bit that clamps. So pushing the button squeezes them together. That clamps onto these two teeth here. And then this is the inside section. You just give that a good yank and it'll clip open. So this is all nice and polished, pretty good build quality too. So there we have it. We've had a good, decent look at this Manufaktur Waldhoff Imperial Diamond Silver. So what are my final thoughts? Well, maybe we can make a bit of a cons and pros list. I'll do the cons first because it's nice to save the positives until last. Cons, legibility. Yeah, legibility is an issue. I'm not going to deny that. Finally, the only con really is probably the price. £1,600 or $2,230 certainly isn't for everyone. It's not a cheap watch. But now if we go into the pros list, you'll see that it probably is a suitable price for a watch of this magnitude. What positives? Well, tourbillon movement, obviously, beautiful, beautiful movement in itself. Absolutely mesmerizing watching it go. I've loved it. I've loved having my very first tourbillon to review. Very impressed by that. Of course, the sapphire case. That is, for me, the tourbillon and the sapphire case are the two key components to this watch that make it really, really stand out. And I think that alone justifies the asking price. It's just so absolutely out there on its own in this price range. It's, like I say, it's the kind of thing that you would pay thousands upon thousands upon thousands of pounds for, or dollars. And yet here it is on a watch costing, you know, $2,000, $1,500, £1,500 kind of price range. So really impressive. And it is just so incredible to look at as well. It certainly is a statement piece, definitely a conversation starter without a doubt too. Other positives, the beautiful anti-reflective coating on the sapphire crystal, so that's a good thing, and just the uniqueness of it. Now, would I wear it every day? Is it a daily wearer? Probably not. I'll be completely honest. This is a statement piece, a special occasions piece as well, so that might also affect the people who buy it. It could be someone who has that kind of money available to buy just one special piece that they wear to special occasions. This would be a brilliant option for them. However, for someone who's looking for a day-to-day wearer, it's probably not suitable, simply because of the fragility of a tourbillon movement, but also sapphire crystal. Yes, it is scratch resistant, but it isn't as shatter resistant, interestingly, as mineral crystal. So you do have to be very, very careful with it. So that could potentially be cause a bit of an issue there as well. But apart from that, just look at it. It's an absolutely eye-catching, gorgeous, glamorous watch that I've thoroughly enjoyed checking out. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to check Brad's written review as well to see his thoughts on it. I'll put the link in the description below. But this was the Manufaktur Waldhoff Imperial Diamond Silver. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, also leave a comment what you think about this watch too. So I'll see you soon. Bye bye.